my entitled ex mocked, "You have no future." "I need someone who can give me the future I deserve." I told her, "Then leave." The next day, I accepted a six-figure job. Months later, she came crawling back. Her regret became my revenge. Hey, Reddit. Figured I'd finally share a story that's been sitting with me for a while. It's about an ex who told me straight to my face that I had no future and how life ended up proving her wrong in ways I didn't even have to lift a finger for. Didn't plan revenge, didn't plot anything, just kept moving forward and let the results speak for themselves. I am 28 years old, have been grinding since I was old enough to clock in. Never had anything handed to me. My parents are regular middle-class people, good folks, but not the type to fund a trust fund or buy their kid a starter house. If I wanted something, I had to earn it. So, that's what I did. I worked whatever job paid the bills, kept myself afloat, never complained too much. At the time this all started, I was stuck in this dead-end insurance company doing data entry. What nobody really knew was that nights and weekends I was grinding on code, online courses, lead code problems, building small apps, even tossing stuff on GitHub. I'd been slowly stacking experience for years just waiting for a shot. Picture this: cubicles that smelled like old printer ink, a boss who thought being manager meant walking around with a coffee cup and criticizing people who actually worked, and coworkers who spent more time gossiping than typing. That was my Monday through Friday. My paycheck was just enough to cover my half of the bills and keep my beat-up Honda running. Nothing flashy, but I wasn't drowning either. My girlfriend, though, had a different mindset entirely. She was 26, just landed a marketing job she wouldn't shut up about. Suddenly, she acted like she was the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. We'd been together for 2 years, living together for about 8 months in my tiny studio apartment that I'd made work. Second-hand couch, wobbly kitchen table, but it was home. I fixed things myself, handled bills, kept the lights on, didn't matter. To her, it was not enough. She always had comments. My car was embarrassing, and my furniture looked like a college dorm. She'd joke about how her coworker's boyfriend drove a new SUV, like that was the bar now. I didn't mind playful teasing, but hers had an edge to it, like she really believed I was dragging her down. I usually clapped back. One time she said, "Don't you wish you had something newer than this car?" And I shot back, "Yeah, maybe I should get the same model your dad drives since you seem to like living off other people's money." She didn't laugh. Anyway, one random Tuesday, my life flipped. I checked my email on lunch break and there it was. Subject line: Senior Software Developer Position, Final Offer. My stomach actually dropped. I'd been through 4 rounds of interviews with a Manhattan tech company. Didn't think I'd make it past round 2, but here it was in black and white. A 6-figure salary, relocation covered, and a start date no later than 3 months out, but flexible if I wanted earlier. I leaned back in my chair, stared at the screen like it was a cheat code for life. I hadn't even told her I'd been interviewing. Why? Because I already knew how she operated. If I got rejected, she'd treat me like a failure. If I got the job, she'd suddenly rewrite history like she always believed in me. I didn't feel like giving her that power. So, I sat on it. I had 2 weeks to accept. I minimized the email and went home like nothing happened. She was on the couch scrolling Instagram, probably liking pictures of some influencer's vacation. I looked at her and in my head I thought, you have no idea how close your entire life is to changing. But I kept quiet. A few nights later, she insisted we go to dinner at her parents' house. Fine. I didn't love it, but I went. Big mistake. Her dad opened with, "So, any new opportunities at your job?" Like he already knew the answer. I said, "Nah, same old grind, but I'm good at it." Her mom forced a smile and said, "Well, at least you're consistent." Then the conversation turned into a highlight reel of her career. New office, new clients, potential growth. They even joked about how they might need to help us upgrade our furniture soon. She laughed along, laughed like it was hilarious that I was sitting there being treated like the underachieving son-in-law. That's when I realized how shallow she really was. She cared more about optics than reality. They didn't see the bills I paid or the nights I stayed up fixing things so we could save money. They just saw low status versus high status. I didn't bite back hard in that moment. Figured my ace card was too good to waste. But I did lean back, smile, and say, good thing furniture doesn't define a relationship. If it did, half the couples in this neighborhood would be single. She didn't like that. Later that night, she complained that I embarrassed her by being sarcastic. And I told her flat out, if you're that unsatisfied, maybe you should just leave. Problem solved. She went quiet. That's the thing about me. I don't beg. I don't play the please don't go game. You either value me now or you don't deserve me later. So while she was whining about optics, I had an email in my pocket offering me a new life in New York. 6 figures, apartment allowance, a career I actually wanted. She thought she was dating a guy stuck in neutral. In reality, I was idling with my foot on the gas just waiting for the green light. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and decided I'm not telling her yet. If she can't see my worth without a paycheck attached, she doesn't deserve to be there when it finally hits my account. And man, that decision set the stage for everything that came after. From the outside, nothing really changed right away. I still dragged myself to that cubicle farm every morning. Still drove the same Honda with the squeaky brakes. Still came home to the same small apartment. But inside, I had this calm confidence like a guy who knows he's holding pocket aces while everyone else thinks he's bluffing. Meanwhile, she was on a different frequency altogether. Her marketing job had her feeling like she was suddenly the main character of life. She'd come home and brag about her boss asking for her creative input or how a client complimented her outfit. I clapped when it was worth clapping, but she always wanted me to act like she just cured cancer. Then came the nitpicks. My car again, my couch again. One night, she stared at my old TV like it was an insult to her existence. Do you realize most people our age have a smart TV by now? She asked. I didn't even look up from my laptop. Yeah, and most people our age are also drowning in debt. Want me to keep going? She rolled her eyes. She hated that I didn't get defensive. She wanted me to grovel. Instead, I gave her sarcasm every time. She'd say, we should think about buying a house soon. And I'd go, yeah, let's slap 20% down on a place right next to your dream coworker's boyfriend. Should I put it on my Monopoly money card? She'd huff and change the subject. But here's the thing. You can only dodge for so long. The big fight came on a Tuesday in March, right after I got home from work. I walked in, still in my jacket, and she was pacing the kitchen like she'd been waiting all day to blow up. She started with small talk about her day. Then it morphed into her coworker's boyfriend again. He just got promoted to regional manager. They're already looking at houses together. Isn't that amazing? She said, voice full of fake sweetness. I knew what was coming. I leaned on the counter, arms crossed, waiting. Then she dropped the mask. I just don't understand how other people our age are moving forward while you seem comfortable being stagnant. There it was. I smirked. Translation, why don't you make as much as your coworker's boyfriend? Her face tightened. I'm serious. Don't you want more? Don't you want to push yourself? Sometimes it feels like you're fine with mediocrity. I didn't flinch. Funny, because I'm the one paying half the bills in this apartment you were so excited to move into 8 months ago. Was I mediocre then, or just mediocre now that your coworker started flexing? She crossed her arms. You always have an excuse. You're comfortable just existing. Unlike you, I need someone with status. Someone who can give me the future I deserve. That line hit, not because it hurt, but because I had the offer email sitting in my pocket like a loaded gun. She thought she was delivering some life-changing speech, but she was basically clowning herself. I raised an eyebrow. So, you've decided I have no future. Got it. Then why are you wasting it here with me? You should probably pack your bags. She froze. That wasn't the reaction she expected. She wanted me to beg, to promise I'd change, to swear I'd suddenly hustle harder. Instead, I gave her exactly what she didn't see coming. Indifference. Her voice cracked a little. That's all you have to say? I shrugged. You don't like what you see? Then maybe you should leave. Nobody's chaining you here. Silence. She blinked like she couldn't believe I wasn't fighting. Then she snapped back, grabbed her phone, and stormed off to the bedroom. 20 minutes later, she was tossing clothes into a suitcase. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, calm as ever. Be sure to grab that throw blanket you love so much. Wouldn't want you to freeze while you're finding the guy with the perfect future, she glared. You're unbelievable. Thanks, I said, grinning. She slammed the suitcase shut and dragged it out. That weekend, she officially moved out. Half the dishes gone, a couple pieces of furniture missing, her perfume fading from the air. The apartment felt quieter, but not in a bad way, more like breathing space. And here's the deal. Less than a week later, I saw her downtown, not alone. She was with some guy I'd never met before, leaning on his shiny black car while laughing at something dumb. He said he had the new money look, designer watch, loud sneakers, way too proud of his own haircut. I didn't feel jealous. I felt validated. She ditched me for a guy who looked like a LinkedIn profile picture come to life. I almost laughed out loud. That night, I went home, sat on my couch, and reopened that job offer email. My cursor hovered over accept. I thought back to every jab about my car, my couch, my TV, her parents' little digs, her lecture about me having no future. I closed the laptop. Not yet. Tomorrow. And for the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't just existing. I was about to win. The next morning, before I even clocked in at that miserable insurance job, I clicked accept. Just like that, my entire life shifted. I called HR right after, asked if I could start sooner instead of waiting 3 months. They didn't even hesitate. Said they'd love to have me as soon as possible. That sealed it. I didn't tell a soul. Not my parents, not my friends, definitely not her. Silence was my favorite weapon. People love to talk, but me, I'd rather let my actions detonate later. Work was my first battlefield. I printed out my resignation letter and dropped it on my boss's desk. This was the same guy who once told me I was lucky to even have a job after I asked about a raise. He looked at the letter, blinked, and tried to play it cool. Oh, moving on, huh? Where are you headed? I smirked. Somewhere that actually values my time. He didn't like that. By lunchtime, word had spread around the office, and suddenly, everyone wanted details. I kept it vague, which made them even hungrier. Ark was the only one who knew the number. Everyone else was guessing and hyping it up. Coworkers who barely said hi to me before started acting like we were best friends. My boss even swung by my desk later with his fake smile. Listen, we'd love for you to stick around. Maybe we can work something out. What if I talked to HR about a pay bump? Now, this was comedy. I tilted back in my chair. Oh, so now I'm worth more. That's cute, but no thanks. I'm good. The look on his face was priceless. A mix of panic and regret. For the next 2 weeks, I coasted. They wanted me to train a replacement. I trained him just enough not to sink immediately. Petty, maybe. Deserved. Absolutely. Outside of work, I started prepping for the move. Posted my couch online, the same one my ex mocked every chance she got. Things sold within an hour. I laughed so hard. Apparently, someone else saw value in my mediocre furniture. I cleaned out closets, boxed up my life, and every time I taped a box shut, I imagined I was sealing away another insult she'd thrown at me. Then came the cherry on top. A buddy of mine sent me a screenshot from Instagram. There she was, my ex, draped over Mr. Fancy Car. The caption was something ridiculous, like, so proud of him. He's such a provider. I nearly spit out my drink. But here's the part that made it better. Turns out Mr. Fancy Car wasn't some big shot. He was a store manager at a clothing chain. Not knocking honest work, but it's a long way from the executive vibes he was faking. And that car leased. He was bragging about it at a bar and people were clowning him behind his back. So, she downgraded. Left me. The guy with a six-figure contract in his inbox for a poser who had to stretch his paycheck just to look successful. If karma had a sense of humor, this was it. Did I text her? Nope. Didn't need to. Watching from the sidelines was better. I already knew her pattern. She chased the look of success, not the real thing. Sooner or later, she'd realize she backed the wrong horse. And I'd be 3 states away living a life she couldn't get invited to even if she begged. Packing became a ritual. I'd throw on some music, start sorting through my stuff, and just imagine the skyline waiting for me. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was calm, like a man who knew he was finally stepping into the role he was always built for. My parents noticed I was acting different. My mom asked if something was up. I just smiled and said, "Good things are coming." She thought I was joking. My dad gave me a look like he knew I wasn't. The funny thing, even her parents tried to circle back. Out of nowhere, her mom called to check in. She hadn't called me in months. Not since that dinner where they basically treated me like their daughter's charity case. Now, suddenly, she wanted to know how I was doing. I kept it short. Doing fine, busy. That was it. No details. Let them stew. By the time my 2 weeks at work were up, I had the apartment sublet lined up, movers scheduled and my new life mapped out. Every step forward felt like a middle finger to the version of me she thought I was. She said I had no future. Meanwhile, my future was already booked, signed, and paid for. The best part, nobody knew yet. I wasn't broadcasting, wasn't flexing. I was building in silence. And the reveal was coming. And oh, when it hit, it was going to shake her little world. I wasn't planning some dramatic reveal. My style is more let life do the talking. But apparently life had other plans. One of my coworkers, Mark, got the bright idea to throw me a farewell party. "Dude, you're moving to New York for a 6-figure job. We can't just let you leave quietly," he said. I tried brushing it off, but within a week, half the office knew, and word spread faster than a group chat on fire. At first, it was supposed to be 5 or 6 people grabbing food. Then it snowballed. Old coworkers, friends I hadn't seen in months. Even a couple people from college reached out like they'd been rooting for me all along. It felt surreal. 2 weeks earlier, I was just the quiet guy in data entry. Now, suddenly, I was the man of the hour. The party ended up at this local bar with a backroom big enough to handle the crowd. I walked in and immediately felt the energy shift. People were clapping me on the back, shoving drinks into my hand, asking when I was leaving, how I got the offer, what New York was like. For once, I wasn't the guy in the background. I was the story everyone wanted a piece of. Mark raised his glass and gave a toast to the man who proved you don't need to be loud to make moves. He's going to New York to make more in a year than most of us make in 2. The room roared. I played it cool, just smiled and shrugged. What can I say? They were desperate, I joked. People laughed, but I could see the respect in their eyes, the kind that doesn't fade when the punchline is over. The best part, her best friend showed up. I didn't invite her, but she was part of the circle, so it made sense. When she saw me, her jaw practically hit the floor. She hugged me a little too tight and said, "So, you're the secret big shot, huh?" She didn't mention that. I grinned. Yeah, guess I must have slipped her mind. She laughed nervously, but I knew what was coming. By the time she got home, my ex was going to have the whole story. Pictures were being taken left and right, group photos, selfies, candids. People were tagging me, captioning it like I was some hometown hero. Proud of you, man. Next stop, Manhattan. My notifications were buzzing nonstop. At one point, a girl I hadn't talked to since college walked up and said, "Honestly, I always knew you'd make it big." I almost choked on my drink. This was the same girl who once ignored me at a house party because I didn't dress the part, and now she wanted to rewrite history. It wasn't just her. A couple guys who never gave me the time of day were suddenly asking for career advice. "How'd you do it, bro? What's your secret?" My secret? Years of grinding while they laughed, and an ex who underestimated me so badly it pushed me to level up. But I just smiled and said, "Right place, right time." By midnight, the photos were everywhere. People were commenting, sharing, congratulating. My feed looked like a highlight reel. I didn't care about clout, but I knew who would. Sure enough, my phone buzzed at 2 a.m. Horror. The first text, "Hey, can we talk?" Then another. "Is it true you're moving New York?" An hour later, a paragraph. "I don't understand why you never told me about this when we were together. Did you hide it on purpose? I just feel blindsided. We should talk about us." I didn't reply. I set the phone face down and went to bed smiling. The next day, the calls started. Missed calls stacked up like spam. Voicemails too. At first, they were polite. "I just want to clear the air." Then, they got emotional. "I can't stop thinking about us. We were good together. Maybe I was too hard on you." By the third day, they turned frantic. "So what? You just moved to New York and forget me? After everything we had, you can't even give me 5 minutes to talk." I listened to every single one, then deleted them, not out of cruelty, but because I knew nothing good would come from responding. She wasn't reaching out because she suddenly rediscovered her love for me. She was reaching out because her whole no future narrative had just blown up in her face. And the thing is, I didn't even need to say a word. The photos, the posts, the party, they did all the talking for me. She dumped me for being mediocre. Now her friends were congratulating me for leveling up while she was stuck on the outside looking in. It was the cleanest revenge I never had to plan. By the time moving day rolled around, I was on autopilot. Boxes taped, movers hauling furniture, lease paperwork done, my car stuffed with whatever I didn't trust strangers to carry. The place that once felt like our future was now just another stop I'd outgrown. I was pacing back from a last walkthrough when I saw her. She was standing at the end of the driveway like some badly timed ghost. Nervous, arms crossed, chewing her lip. She looked smaller than I remembered, less sure. The confident girl who once stood in this kitchen and declared I had no future was gone. This version looked like she wasn't sure she had one of her own. I stopped and stared. Didn't wave. Didn't break the silence. If she wanted to speak, she could start. "Hey," she said finally. "Can we talk?" I checked my watch. "You've got about 5 minutes before that truck pulls out. Make it worth my time." She flinched but stepped forward. Then she launched into her speech like she'd been rehearsing it for weeks. "I'm sorry for how things ended. I was stressed. I didn't mean everything I said. I projected my fears onto you. I should have believed in you. I know I was wrong." I cut her off with a laugh. "Believed in me? You didn't lack belief. You wrote me off like an expired coupon. You told me I had no future. That's not doubt. Oh, and that's a death sentence. Now you want to act like you just misplaced your faith." Her cheeks went red. "That's not fair." "I didn't know." "Didn't know what?" I snapped. "Didn't know that the guy who kept your rent paid and your fridge stocked might actually be capable of more than data entry. You didn't care to know. You didn't even ask. You just measured me against some random coworker's boyfriend and declared I was worthless." She wrung her hands. I was scared. "Okay. Everyone else seemed ahead of us and I panicked, but I've realized we had something good. Maybe we could try again." I shook my head. You don't get to pull the eject handle and then try to crawl back into the cockpit once the jet takes off. You made your choice. Live with it. Her face twisted, desperation creeping in. You don't get it. If it wasn't for me pushing you, you wouldn't even have this job. I pushed you to do better. I lit a fire under you. So, in a way, I'm part of your success. You should be thanking me. Corey laughed so hard the movers glanced over. Oh, that's rich. You dumped me. Call me stagnant. Bounce onto Mr. Least BMW. And now that I'm leaving for New York, suddenly you're my motivational speaker. What exactly should I thank you for? The insults, the comparisons, or maybe the part where you made yourself look like a clown when the mediocre guy turned out to be a six-figure earner? She scowled. You're twisting it. I just knew you had potential and I pushed you. No, I interrupted. You didn't push me. You pushed me away. There's a difference. And trust me, you don't get credit for my grind. That job offer wasn't thanks to you. It was in spite of you. Every time you called me average, I worked harder. Every time you mocked my couch, I built my escape plan. You weren't fuel, sweetheart. You were dead weight. Her voice cracked. That's not true. You wouldn't even have believed in yourself if it wasn't for me demanding more. I smirked. Right. And I guess LeBron should thank the guy who cut him from JV for pushing him. That's not how this works. You don't get to sabotage someone and then demand royalties when they win. Her eyes watered, but she pressed on. Voice higher now. So what? You're just going to New York and leaving me here after everything we shared after 2 years. I leaned closer, voice calm but sharp. You left me the moment you decided a store manager with a leased car looked shinier. Don't talk about 2 years like you respected them. You torched those years for a guy who couldn't even keep up the image for 4 months. And now you're here begging at the end of my driveway because suddenly your safety net is gone. She went silent, chest heaving, then almost whispering. So, you're really done with me? I grinned. Done? I was done the second you said I had no future. The only reason I even let you finish your little speech just now is because I had time to kill before the movers closed the truck. Her lip trembled. Maybe we could try again in New York. You don't have to stay here. I could come with you. It'd be different. I cut her off again. Yeah, it'll be different because you won't be there. The mover slammed the truck door shut, asked if I was ready. I didn't look at her. Yeah, let's go. I got in my car. She stood there shaking, trying to hold on to whatever scraps of control she thought she had left. I rolled the window down one last time, gave her a final line she'd never forget. You told me I had no future. Funny thing is, you were right. The only future I don't have is one with you in it. Then I pulled out, left her standing in the dust. New York didn't wait for me to catch my breath. From day one, it was all motion. The company put me in temporary corporate housing while I hunted for a real place. I sold the Honda a week after landing. The subway and the occasional Uber did the heavy lifting. Within 2 weeks, I signed a lease on a Brooklyn apartment with a view of the skyline. First night, I stood on that balcony watching the city light up like a circuit board and thought, this is what she said. I didn't have a future. Work was a different world compared to that cubicle graveyard I'd left behind. My new team actually respected me. My boss didn't just bark orders. He asked for my input, treated me like someone worth listening to. The projects were challenging in the best way. Instead of entering data like a robot, I was solving problems, building tools, making decisions that mattered. Within 3 months, I'd earned a promotion. First time in my life, someone paid me more money because they thought I deserved it, not because I threatened to quit. Outside of work, I started building a circle. A couple guys from the office invited me to lift with them at their gym. My neighbors introduced themselves instead of pretending I didn't exist. For the first time as an adult, I felt part of something, not a supporting character in someone else's story, the main role. And then, right on cue, she tried to claw her way back in. It started with texts. At first, congratulations on the new job. I always knew you'd make it. Then, happy birthday. Hope you're doing okay. Then longer ones, paragraphs stuffed with nostalgia. Remember when we talked about living in a big city? I'm so glad you're doing what we always dreamed about. We didn't dream about this. I did alone while she was busy comparing me to Mr. Regional Manager boyfriend. I was grinding. I ignored every message, which only made her escalate. Calls at random hours. Voicemails that shifted between flirty, angry, and pathetic. One night, I played one on speaker while a couple coworkers were hanging out at my place. She actually said, "You wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for me pushing you." Deep down, you know, your success is mine, too. I nearly choked, laughing. I deleted the voicemail and said, "That's the voice of a woman who thought Elisa's car was an upgrade." But she wasn't done. Screenshots started showing up in my DMs, posts she made on social media. Stuff like, "So proud of him. I always supported his dreams." And funny how people don't realize who pushed them until it's too late. She was writing essays about me like she was some ex-wife entitled to alimony. People from back home were clowning her in the comments, sending me the receipts. One caption literally read, "Behind every successful man is the woman who built him." I just shook my head. She didn't build me. She tried to tear me down. And when I rose anyway, she slapped her name on the foundation. The creepy part didn't happen until month 4. I came home late one night after a brutal day at work, stepped out of an Uber, and froze. There she was, standing outside my building with a suitcase, dressed like she was ready for a date night. "Surprise," she said, smiling like this was some rom-com reunion. I didn't move. "What the hell are you doing here?" "I came to be with you," she said matter-of-factly. "We used to daydream about making it to New York. Now I'm here. It's fate." I laughed. "Last time I checked, you said my future didn't exist. Now you're dragging luggage to my building like we're in some Hallmark movie. You've lost it." She pouted, stepping closer. "You don't mean that. This is where we were always heading. I just got scared before, but now I see clearly. You're successful because I pushed you. We're meant to do this together." I held up a hand. "Stop. You don't get to show up uninvited, rewriting history like some deranged stalker. You didn't push me forward. You pushed me out the door. There's a difference." Her smile twitched. "Don't talk like that. I came all this way because I love you." I smirked. "You came all this way because your little upgrade couldn't keep his car payments and now you're broke living with your parents. You're not here for me. You're here for stability. You see me winning and you want a cut." "Sorry, the ATM's closed." Her face cracked. "That's not true. You're being cruel." "Cruel?" I leaned closer. "You told me I was stagnant. You laughed at my car, my couch, my life. You don't get to reappear 4 months later with a suitcase and call it destiny. That's not love. That's desperation dressed up in lipstick." She blinked hard, eyes wild. "You'll regret this. One day you'll realize I'm the only one who really knew you." I laughed. "Oh, I know you. You're the girl who downgraded to a store manager and then tried to put your name on my success when it blew up in your face. You're not my future. You're a tourist who missed the last train." At that moment, the doorman stepped out, sensing the scene. "Everything all right here, sir?" I nodded. She was just leaving. She shrieked. "No, I'm not leaving. You can't erase me. I belong here." The doorman raised an eyebrow and gestured toward the street. "Ma'am, you need to go." She tried to cling to her suitcase like a lifeline. "This is fate. You can't just walk away from fate." I smirked as I walked inside. Fate doesn't knock on my door with a suitcase. Fate already moved me here without you. The door shut behind me, her voice muffled in the night. Upstairs, I dropped my keys on the counter, stepped out onto my balcony, and looked out at the skyline. Peaceful, my city, my future. She said I had no future. Now she was the one showing up uninvited, begging to be in mine. After that night in New York, I figured I'd never see her again, and honestly, I didn't care if I did. Life was good. Work kept me sharp. The city kept me busy, and I was stacking wins left and right. I'd built a rhythm that didn't include her shadow anymore. Then a year passed and I had to fly back home for my cousin's wedding. I wasn't excited about going. Hometowns have a way of feeling smaller once you've outgrown them. But family's family. So I packed a bag, caught a flight, and landed in the same place I'd left behind in the dust. It was surreal. The same streets, same hangouts, same people still orbiting the same gossip. And of course, my name came up in every conversation. Relatives pulled me aside to tell me how proud they were. Old friends asked about the city like I was some celebrity. It felt good, not going to lie. But the moment I knew was coming came fast. Whispers about her. She's been asking about you. One cousin said, she talks like you two just needed time apart. Another added, I just smiled and kept it moving. Let them speculate. I wasn't about to waste energy on rumors. The wedding day was classic small town. Same rented hall, same bad playlist, same people sipping punch like it was the highlight of their year. I was catching up with my old college roommate when I saw her. She slipped in like she owned the place, wearing her best, I'm doing fine smile. From across the room, I could tell it was forced. She made her way toward me, eventually weaving through tables like a shark that smelled blood. My buddy caught on and muttered, I'll give you space, before disappearing. Hi, she said softly, almost like the night outside my building hadn't happened. Can I sit? I gestured at the chair. It's a free country. She sat down, folded her hands, and stared at me like she was trying to read a language she'd forgotten. You look good. New York suits you. Yeah, I said flatly. It does. She tried again. I've been working a new job. Not as exciting as yours, obviously, but stable. I'm getting back on track. I nodded once. Good for you. Her smile wavered. I saw pictures of you online. You look happy. You deserve that. Silence stretched. I didn't feel the need to fill it. She finally leaned forward. I just wanted to tell you I was wrong about everything. I didn't see what I had. I thought I needed more and I ended up with less. I regret it. I leaned back, arms crossed. That's nice, but let's be clear. You don't regret losing me. You regret losing the perks. You regret misjudging the bet. There's a difference. Her eyes watered, but I kept going. When you walked away, I didn't chase. That should have told you everything. You weren't worth fighting for. Not then. Not now. She shook her head. I know I messed up, but can't we at least be friends? We had history. I laughed. Friends? You think I want to swap memes with the same girl who told me I had no future? No thanks. I'd rather have fewer friends and zero anchors. Her face crumbled. You don't mean that. I mean every word. Look around. I gestured to the hall. You're sitting here clinging to the past while I'm flying in from a city you couldn't survive a week in. That's not an insult. It's just reality. You're stuck in rewind. I'm on fast forward. She sat there frozen. No comeback. No defense. Finally, she whispered, I hope one day you'll forgive me. I stood up, straightened my jacket. There's nothing to forgive. You made your choice and I made mine. This is me living with it. I walked away, left her sitting there while the DJ switched to another cheesy love song. People glanced, whispered, but I didn't care. That was the last real conversation I'd ever have with her. Back in New York the next night, I dropped my bag on the floor of my apartment and stepped onto the balcony. The skyline stretched out alive and endless. My life, my future. Sometimes the best revenge isn't screaming or plotting. It's silence. It's success. It's leaving someone to choke on the dust you kicked up when you left. She said I had no future.